I was 14 when I finally accepted that I was not meant to fit in. And even though I didn't do much back then, my story really starts back in 2020. I just started college and I promised myself that I would show up for myself constantly no matter what. Hi, I'm Nishtha and welcome back to my channel. I wanted to start a YouTube channel for a very long time since then because I consumed so much content from other creators and artists, and they would create value through their videos and also market their product, and people would pay them, and they were really open to receiving that kind of attention and money through their audience. So I thought to myself, if that can happen for them, why not for me? And I'm so glad I thought that way because I started planning my very first art YouTube channel back in 2021, and I had at least 20 videos listed and outlined ready to film, but I knew nothing about filming setups, cameras, lighting, editing, or any of that. My phone's camera wasn't great either, and I just told myself I'd give my all to college and think about YouTube again once I graduate. The next 2 years were overwhelming to say the least, and my creative passions only lived through my one dream back then, which was to be a full-time artist and make that my career. So fast forward to 2023, I've just shifted to my first apartment with my friends from college, and little did I realize how much I'd changed over the last summer, and I was so excited and passionate about sharing my insights and the things I'd learned over the summer with my friends. But let's just say all of our priorities were really different at the time. I loved these people, but I just felt so out of place. And remember, I told you I'd finally accepted at 14 I wasn't meant to fit in. Well, I was still adjusting to that fact, and this time I just decided not to sulk about it for too long and decided to make the best of the solitude that was handed to me and was obviously going to be part of my journey. I started working more on the ideas I had and started romanticizing this time that I was spending by myself. I would constantly listen to these interviews and podcasts and read books and listen to people that were actually doing things with their life that I wanted to do with mine. This absolutely helped me rewire my mindset and my brain to be open to these experiences, to look for these experiences, make myself feel comfortable in the fact that this is a possibility for me. This absolutely helped me believe in my dreams and myself a lot more. I took myself out to experience different things by myself and talked about my dreams with my family. And all of this while college was one crazy overwhelming experience. And thankfully, when this academic year came to an end, I was finally able to rest, reset, and think about how I wanted to execute all the ideas I had. So that's when I wrote out my first YouTube video in the personal growth niche, seeing how much it could actually impact people, because I consumed that kind of content for years before I started creating when I was really helpless, and that really helped me put my life back together. So while I started creating content on YouTube, I played into the advantage of staying at home and earning. So whatever I did earn could be invested in experimenting and trying out other ideas that I had. I knew I was never going to be able to take up a job that sucked the life out of me and made me give up on myself and my dreams. But I also knew my savings were only going to last me a little while, and I had to start earning a little bit, and I would only take up a job that actually taught me things that I could learn while working for another company and actually fulfilled me, and I wanted to work with people that respected me. And just as I began opening myself up to this idea that I could be working for someone else, an opportunity arose that I absolutely could not deny. I went after it and I got a job, and I learned so much so fast that I felt like I was gonna forget all of it in the next month. So that's when I decided I had to do something of my own while I was learning so much in this job, so I could actually incorporate this in my life and apply all of my learnings firsthand. I was so incredibly grateful for this opportunity, and at the same time, I knew it was the right time to experiment with becoming a full-time artist. So I started a side hustle, which you all know as Studio SOOD. I started from scratch and built my brand and launched my first collection in March this year. And while it was a lot of work, I just made sure none of this would go into my day job, And there was a lot of guilt I battled during that time. Is this the right thing to do? Is it okay to use my free time like this? It sounds silly now, but it's the truth. I battled a lot with the guilt of doing something on my own while working for someone else. And to be honest, I never let that affect my day job. So now I don't feel as guilty about it. And I'm so glad I maintained my integrity with not letting my day job affect my side hustle or my side hustle affect my day job. Moving on to the launch of my collection, it felt great. It was great. I felt so nervous and excited at the same time. But once all the emotions settled down in my mind, it was kind of hard to realize that being a full time artist was not exactly in the cards for me at the moment. It was more that I didn't want to monetize my art at the moment because of how uncertain the results can be with how much effort that has been put in. I just realized this is something that I would want to work on again, just not right now, maybe later. While this was a lot to digest at the time, it was also easy to understand and come to terms with because of all the data I had collected while carrying out this experiment in the form of a side hustle. I was so glad I tried out my idea before I went all in or rejected this dream I had since my childhood. It was easy to take that in, but I felt lost again in terms of what's next. If this is not something I'm working towards, then what is it that I'm working towards? I sat with myself again. I journaled about it. I talked to my family about it. I talked to myself. What did I really, really want? What was something that I actually enjoyed? I tried visualizing what I saw myself doing. There were a lot of opportunities that were actually really beneficial to me on paper, but I just didn't feel aligned to them. And this entire process of realigning and saying no to these kind of opportunities kind of took me 2 to 3 months to let go and settle into a life where I'm again trying to find what I want to do next. So here I am in my bedroom creating value through my videos, just like I saw the creators do back in 2020, and pursuing a completely different kind of education and a whole bunch of other things. I'm feeling incredibly scared, excited, and nervous about what I've left behind, what's to come, and where I'm headed. There were no doubt a lot of thoughts that were actually stopping me from taking this next step, but I knew on the inside that I was looking for alignment, and I'm so glad that I'm here today. And I understand that this path is not entirely for everyone, but if you came to me saying you wanted to bet on yourself, like really, really wanted to bet on yourself, and you weren't too sure about it, I would 100% ask you to take that risk and bet on yourself. However, I would also ask you to consider your basic necessities like food, water, shelter, and finances before taking that leap. Learn your financial habits, learn what goes into and out of your account every single month. Make sure you're taking a calculated risk. Over on my Instagram, I asked you to send in some questions a few days ago, and I got a question that said, do you feel taking a risk straight out of college is worth it, or should you wait a bit? I would say you need to have your goals clear. If you know what you want to do, I would suggest that you first take up a job in that industry to actually learn what that job entails. Is that something you really want to do? Because that's one of the ways you try to test out your competence in that area and your passion and interest in that industry. And if you have done these kind of experiments while you're still in college, then it's a lot easier to say yes, that risk is very much worth it when you take it straight out of college. Another question I got was, what are some of the tools or activities that helped you plan better and cope with anxiety? Making vision boards, journaling, talking to my family, making and sticking to my to-do lists, having a month-wide plan instead of like an hourly plan, that really helped me keep my schedule a little less overwhelming and less occupied, because I personally don't do well when my calendar is planned down to the minute. I would constantly look at my vision board here, and making vision boards actually changed my life, because whenever I look at a vision board, it really centers me and makes me realign my current habits and goals to what am I actually doing, and am I doing anything to achieve what I've actually put up on my vision board here. In my next video, I want to go through some of the lessons I learned while I went through this entire process of constantly assessing whether I really want to do this or not. And till then, watch this video where I help you level up and get out of a rut. And I'll see you over here next.